So we've got art notes, okay? So looking at this model sheet, so they talk about his line of action. Now, line of action is very different to the arc of motion, okay? So this is what I kind of talked about in my advanced turnaround. Now, this is deceptive because this is actually a straight line, okay? But because the character will be off balance otherwise. But we want to have this kind of line of action, meaning the normal pose follows this S curve. And they've got this circle here, meaning his head is going to be on here, right? Now, they haven't drawn this, but I'll explain this for you. What this is all about is then his legs are going to go like this, okay? So his legs and his body are going to be like this. So the rough kind of animation and the way to get the character, you know, typical kind of, you know, Batman, Bruce Timm kind of masculine hero, is going to be this kind of shape following this S curve that we drew, okay? So that's the first thing that they're talking about, is to make sure that you get, you know, his normal line of action when the character is kind of like neutral. Let's try and do it the other way, okay? So I'll kind of like I'll do something like that to make sure that I'm in there. So if I was going to do it the other way, which is not in the model sheet, I would have something like this, okay, following along the spine line, okay, the spine line. Then we just come down for the leg, and his legs are going to be here like this, and his arms are going to be here like this, okay? So that's very quick interpretation. So now they say that how many heads tall is he? He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. The usual 6.5 heads high. You know, the superhero guys are always 10 heads tall and all that, super alpha male. But this, I mean, he's a kind of hero guy, but a Disney like to do 6.5 heads. So let's now be a little bit more careful with the drawing, okay? So they have framed, I mean, the original guy put the head here, but now he's choosing to put the head here, okay? Which is kind of different. No, okay, I see it. I see what he's doing, okay? So he's still got that there, but he's drawn another line here for some reason, right? But never mind, that's not important. What is important is I'm going to make this shape, right? So I'm going to make my study of his shape. So they're being very, very organic and flowy and loose, okay? So it might seem like there's no anatomy in this guy, because some of you might see me roughing my animation out using this kind of, I call it this coat hanger kind of thing. So this is I'm in very familiar territory here, okay? And I may have to adjust this because I'm using hand-eye, but I'm going to explain to you what they have decided, okay? And this is something, you know, which you'll never get the hang of as when you're fresh, okay? Because you will draw the character to your own intuitive proportions. But they have got this drawing of this guy here, and what they're doing is now they're breaking it, okay? So he's breaking it about here. He's saying he's going to divide the body into thirds, okay? So actually he's coming here. He's not including the feet, okay? I would personally go like this, but this model sheet is dividing this guy into 3 sections. So this section here, this section here, and this section here. So 3 even sections. He's saying this is 1/3, okay? This is 1/3, okay? And this is 1/3, okay? And each of these thirds is 2 heads tall. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is where they talk about the half head at the bottom, okay? So that's basically the way, and you know, I'm not going to draw the diamond construction shape of his head yet, because we've got a lot to get through in talking about this. So this can be ascertained from looking at the model sheet, okay? So it's kind of like an easy formula. It's like, so let me just go this away here. So if I'm gonna like, kind of like, if I feel my character is kind of, is he on model or is he not on model, you know? Let's I was trying to do a pose, but let's just stick to the basics here. So let's say that he's standing in kind of like a different pose. Let's say he's folding his arms or whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna utilize that same S-curve thing, right? And even though his legs are gonna be more closer together, but how do I find my proportions? I'll say, okay, let me just imagine like each of these guys is like, I naturally draw this thing anyway at this, so it's easy for me. But for some people who don't naturally draw with this, I'm used to this style of drawing, this Disney style of drawing, 6 head stall, okay? So if you're used to doing Marvel 10 head stall, you might struggle in so this thirds formula with 2 heads is something for you to take on board. So that's that part of the model sheet. So now we're going to talk about Shang with uniform, Shang without uniform. Okay, so he hasn't really talked about any construction for that, but we are going to look. So let's just first do the drawing of him with uniform and without uniform. So let's go again and follow that thing that we wanted to talk about, which is going to be the S-curve, okay, which is going to be like this, right? And then we're going to have the head here, right? And the body in here like this, right? And if we're so inclined, we can do that. We can divide our thirds, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and half, okay? So what I'm going to do, because it'll get messy as I'm teaching you all this, I'm going to just dab that back and start drawing on top of it in another color. So you can, otherwise it'll just get too scribbly. So the character, we're not talking about the guy's face yet, right? So they've got the guy's face, which is, he's making this kind of shape. Okay, so the facial portion, okay, they're just making a shape like this, and they're putting the eye line up here. And then he's got the hair, which we're not talking about yet, okay, which comes here like this, and some little thing at the back and the neck, right? So that's pretty much what we've got. Now, he hasn't told us about the construction of the character's body, right? But if you've been following my usual my turnaround thing, you'll kind of get a good idea about that. So around this halfway point is where, around the first third, the 2 head stall, is where his chest is going to go, right? Now he's got a very, very wide chest. I remember I have the Art of Mulan book. I can't remember if it was Ruben Aquino who did this character, or I can't remember if it was Prez Romanalius. But whoever did it said they wanted the guy to be a mixture of Clint Eastwood and Bruce Lee. So I remember it well. I had the Art of Mulan book. So the shoulders are going to sit around here, and it's going to come off there like that. So this would actually just be my usual bell shape of construction. Okay, but I'm just focusing on this at the moment. Now the center line is going to continue to go out with that line that we originally had. So we're going to go out and we're going to go in like this. And then we're going to, the belt line, okay, so the leg line, the belt is going to be high up. So around about the 1 head tall aspect, okay, is going to be the guy's belt, okay, which is going to sit here. So I'll explain to you so you can see. I'll quickly explain to you. So the guy's belt is going to sit in here. So if we imagine like this is 1 head and this is 2 heads, and that's our first third section, we'll have 1 head here, okay, then the other head here. So finishing about this head here is going to be where the guy's belt is. So that's kind of easy, you see. And it seems like, oh, this is too complicated, whatever, and I can't draw like that. If you're new to this, if you've been like intuitively learning on your own, but if you've been an industry pro and you're kind of used to the formula for drawing animation and animating, this stuff is like second nature. You know, I always talk about acquired knowledge and know-how in W. Clement Stone's success system that never fails, and that's the same thing. So the way we get down to his thing is we've got this division line of the one head hair and the one head hair between hair. Okay, so this is how we're going to kind of solve his pants. So just beyond the first head, okay, beyond the first head, we're going to come down and up like that for the pants, and we're going to come around here with his bulge, shall we say, here like this, and this is going to come for this portion of the legs here. We're just going to continue that up. So that is just a bit beyond the one head mark. Okay, so it's some of this stuff is intuitive, and then this is going to be half a head tall. Okay, so probably around about hair like this. So I've been quite casual as I've been doing that one. So then we're going to bring this foot, is going to continue along like this, right? And now we're just going to make a really simple triangle shape like that, and we're going to square it off just like that. Then similarly on this side, we're going to create this coming here, and he's going to go a little bit beyond the half a head. Okay, so sometimes these guys don't really listen to their own things, right? So we're now one full head. Okay, and he's just going to create that there to create the illusion of perspective. If you've been following my turnaround video, we have talked about that already. So now we're going to do the arms, which come to the hands come to the bottom of the two head stall. So the hands come to around about where the character's forehead stall. Okay, so we're gonna put this guy around here, and he's not really explaining, but you know, he's just roughed in a very simple kind of hand like that. With he's even given it 3 fingers, so he's not trying. He's just giving you a brief overview of his character's model, right? And then again here, it's this around the one head tall, but the elbow bend is a little higher. Okay, you're gonna have to be able to draw and understand anatomy properly to be able to do this, make his shape choices. You wouldn't be hired on this project otherwise. Okay, so this is why a lot of this stuff is kind of left out on the model sheet. They're not going to tell you every little detail the way some of you might be used to the way I teach, because I'm teaching absolute beginners or self-taught people online who've developed bad habits. So I show you those things, but these model sheets won't have them. Okay, and then they've put a little shade in there like that. Okay, so this is kind of like the Shang drawing without clothes. So I'm gonna, without his uniform, shall we say. So I'm gonna, let me just hold the shift key. Okay, wrong button is this one here, and I'm gonna drag him there, and we're gonna do the same thing. Okay, with the guy's uniform. So let me just do the same thing with the guy's uniform now. So again, the formula for the head is going to be like this. So rather than using the same model, okay, if I was working on this and I was familiarizing, the first thing I would do starting on the project, if I had come and started on the project, or they made a Mulan 2 or a Mulan TV series and this model, I would not lazily draw the uniform on top of this. I would consolidate my knowledge gained by doing, you guessed it, what I firmly believe in is the formula for any successful behavior is repetition. So again, I would then rough this in as to the way that I know that his chest would be about hair, going from what I know, and his shoulders would be about hair. But then I'd think about the uniform shapes. So the uniform has got a triangle coming in here, and we're going to then put a circle, and then coming off to the bottom of the chest are these two triangles here, and we're gonna triangle out to the sides, and we're gonna split those triangles in two, and we're just gonna create his scarf like that. Now the chest is gonna come a little bit below, but we're gonna go up and around, okay, like this for his upper body portion, and then we're going to go and include his I don't know what they are, like sleeve, shoulderless sleeves or whatever, you know, which are gonna come off the edge here like this. And there's a nice, which I've kind of left out, nice little angle of perspective here, so I'm just gonna tweak this very slightly and include that angle of perspective, which is actually on this one. So then again here we're gonna roll in and continue that. Now remember, one head tall was the belt, okay, but the belt is the same, okay, so we're around about one head tall for the belt, okay, so I'll just bring that in. Actually, they don't have the same belt, so I will see. I'm actually not looking at the model sheet as much. I'm actually treating this like I'm on the commission, okay, which is why I think this is a great stream, because you're looking at me familiarizing myself with the guy's model, right? So then along here we've got the belt, and now we're going to come out. Now I remember down here the trousers and legs are going to be in the same deal, just a bit below one head, okay, so I'm gonna make sure that I get that right, okay, and I will draw, even though we don't see it, I will draw the trousers in for my own sake, right, and then I will look at the model sheet, and just below this two heads, okay, this is the two heads, 1, 2 here, right, so just from there, just a bit below, we're gonna come like this up, and this is one streamlined continuous line, okay. So while I'm looking at this in sections for you, I've got to tie it into the way they do it. It's one continuous line here, and this is broken off into sections like that, so we have that there. Now I'm gonna quickly rough in his feet, which are more or less the same thing, okay, which are more or less come off here, but we have just shin guards, so we're just going to put a line in the middle there, and then the same kind of triangle for his foot, which is just going to be like this, and I'm going to have the same deal for this, so we're just going to bring that more in. I was adding a calf muscle, but I need to look at the actual model. You see how little nuances of an artist can go off model, stray off the model, and the animator is required to work on model, but at the same time the cleanup artist is here there to fix any of these inconsistencies, as they want to keep the pipeline moving. Right, so what happens now is just around the below the, you know, here's the one head and two head of this section. So just below that, okay, around about here, coming just here, but then rising up to almost around one head, okay, we have the remainder of his upper garment, which is coming down here, going like this. So that goes there. I'm absolutely loving doing this, okay. This is so much fun. It's a little bit different to what we usually do, but I think this is a lot more informative actually. So now the hands are going to be more or less the same thing. We're going to just they're going to finish it around the two heads mark in this portion, this third. So we've got our quick fist, which the guy has just not even put the fourth finger in there, you know, just roughed that out, and he's given him an arm guard, okay. And this is a little bit different, okay. He's made this straight, but he's formed a crease in his thing to give the elbow some relief like this, and we're going to look at how he does the creases in the arms. Okay, so this is a straight line, but by doing that we're creating a relief of his garment and his elbow. And then this fist is going to come just a little bit below to the two heads mark here like this. Finally we have the cloak, okay, which is going to come in around in line with his hand. Okay, so I should have known that, so I went a little bit off, and I've taken it very low as I'm intuitively drawing it. It finishes at the one head in this portion here. Okay, one head, two head, like that. It finishes round about there, and it just above it continues over, and this guy goes out from here to there like this. And we're going to bring just make a triangle shape like this and bring it around through underneath to get that. So that is the guy now with his garments. So if we just gray that in, okay, and I'm going to red that in. So we've examined the whole formula that the model sheet gives us for this thing. And what he's put here about the hands, okay, which I didn't really talk about, okay, is in order to get this portion, okay, from this to this two head portion, which is, you know, already 1/3 of the bigger picture. So this is 1/3, this is 1/3, this is 1/3. And I've been quite sparing with my thing to get through this fast. He says you want to divide this into thirds again. Okay, so this is 1/3, so we get this, and this is around about 1/3, and this is around about 1/3 where we get that. And he hasn't even followed what he's religiously said, divided into thirds. His hand finishes much the position the way mine is, but it's a guide, you see. So as you can see, some people think that when I'm teaching animation, and I'm always talking about, and when I'm teaching drawing, I'm always talking about this is 1/3 of the way, this is 1/2 of the way, and this is all that. And they think that I'm overcooking it and I'm making it too complicated. But what they don't know is they are ignorant. They've been doing things in their own little kind of kiddie way online, and intuitively doing their airy-fairy art and feeling good about it. That's great, whatever. But then don't challenge the industry pro, because here we are looking at a official piece of model art, and you can see the same mentality is being used on the model sheet of a multi-million-dollar Disney movie, which is, you know, kind of like the experience I have and where I've worked. I've spent 20 years of my life working in this industry. So when I do these things, I'm not just making shit up. You know, you can see it. You can go and download this sheet from Google yourself and see the mentality of the professional practice. Right, so what he also has here is folds are more simplified. Wedges are used to avoid parallel lines and also in order for objects not to look symmetrical. So I don't really know what this kind of garment he's drawn is, to be honest with you. So maybe he's drawing a trouser leg. So the one he said no is he's drawn a triangle shape like this. Okay, and he's put in lots of, you see, this kind of stuff would be like where an anime would love doing this. Okay, they're adding more and more, you know, and then another one here, and in anime they would then have shading here like this and shading, but they're saying no. Okay, so what he's saying is he just wants something simple. Okay, so we have the simple shape here like this, and he just wants one crease, okay, on the trouser leg like this. And this would be circular like that. And then if he's going to put shading in the fold, we'll put one shade there and one shade there. So that's what he wants. He doesn't want fussy art. The Mulan style is to simplify, to make it more like the paintings that it's based upon, I guess. So he is, that's another thing that he's mentioned. The foot shape that he's talking about, he hasn't really talked about the ribbon. Okay, use of wedges. Okay, ribbon or scarf. Okay, so again, everything is very simple. So he's drawn like a traditional scarf the way we would do it, and he's put like fur, like these kind of flowing lines like this, and kind of little kind of creases and creases here, and more flowing lines like this to kind of give the scarf the, this could almost be Sailor Moon, right? Which is being more kind of realistic and more trying to get the texture of the scarf. He says no, 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 no. Okay, he just wants this thing to be a wedge. Okay, like this, and a line completely going in between it, and this going like this, and this is going to be straight, right? A wedge, and he's just going to do something like that. Okay, and then this one is going to be like this and this, and he's going to do something like that. Okay, so that's what he wants for the Mulan style. They want harsh, solid wedges. And in fact, the Mulan belt is, if you look at my groundhopper character, it's something that I used to religiously copy from the Art of Mulan book when I was a little kid. Well, I was in uni at the time. Okay, so I was in my 20s. To me, that is a little kid. Okay, and I used to like all the time give the characters belts like this and cut into it and cut into that. And my groundhopper has got a lot of these Mulan shapes. So I'm kind of actually very, very familiar with this. So then again, hair, I use the same principle for the legs. Okay, but then I just give it a little bit of an anime feel by being a little bit more, I mix and match. Okay, in order to, but then I go back to the whole Disney thing for the feet. So I actually, the Mulan style is something that I've studied a lot. So explaining this model sheet is very easy and straightforward for me. Simplify hands. Okay, the basic shape can be used to draw the wrist plate in cleanup. Okay, so he's using a circle. Okay, so he's using the circle like this, and he's just thinking of like your just thumb is going to come out, your one finger is going to come down like this. Okay, where you were just dividing in two, and then we're going to bunch everything together like this, right? Coming off the circle, so we're just going to bunch everything off together like that. So that's the way he's saying to draw the hands. This is the way to start the hands off. He's using circles, okay, and he's building squares and wedges around the circle. So again, here he's got a fist, okay, so he's going to use a circle around here. He's going to come off the circle and create a wedge off the circle. He's going to then create a triangle that goes within that circle and another triangle that goes off the circle like this, and then he's just going to do that, and then you've got like a clenched tight fist. Okay, so that's the way he's telling you to use hands. So he's saying to use this round circle to create your hand shape off. Now he's talking about grouping fingers, curves against straights. Don't make hands too graceful and fingers too pointy in cleanup. Okay, so this is, the Bluth thing is a no-no. Okay, I love my Bluth kind of hands, where Bluth squares it off for the guys, but for the girls, and obviously Mulan is a girl, but this guy is a guy, the Bluth thing is always to group the hand with these kind of pointy fingers. Okay, but he's saying no, 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 no. Okay, so he's got a straight line here. Okay, and then let's follow his formula. I haven't really, he hasn't talked about it here, but I'll try to follow his formula. Okay, so then we're gonna have the thumb coming off here like this, right, and then off here like that. We've got like, he's kind of pointed that finger off himself, so I don't really, maybe he's saying this isn't the way to do it. So what he's done is he's come here and he's put these two fingers together, okay, and he's doing this, and he's saying grouping fingers, but he's gone and pointed that himself. So he says don't make it too pointy, but I'm not sure. If I was working in the studio, I would probably, under him, I'd probably go and ask him and say, is this the way to do it, or is this the way not to do it? Okay, so then we've got like a curve under here like this, and this coming around here. And that's where he says, you know, the straight against the curve, okay? Which is very, very basic professional practice when you draw in this kind of way. Okay, so that's the first Mulan model sheet of Li Shang that we've looked at. Okay, lovely, lovely stuff. Let's now look at the second model sheet, which is going to talk about the guy's face. Okay. So let's ascertain this, you know, seemingly complicated structure that he's put down, because it looks so to me too complicated, but perhaps I just take this drawing for granted because it's intuitively the way I draw. So let's see what he says. Okay, so again he's dividing the head into thirds, okay, of a 3/4 view head. No, he's dividing it into half, actually. My bad. There's a lot of little lines here where he's putting it thirds and halves and all that kind of stuff, but he's got so many scribbles. Okay, so he's got a sphere shape, as usual, the sphere shape, you know. And what I'm going to do is he is now creating, this is difficult for me to explain to you, okay, because it's very different to the way I do things. Okay, so he's going to divide this head in half, but it's more along the bottom of the sphere, and then this portion is going to be another portion. So this is the length of the guy's head. Okay, it's gonna be this, because we got halves here. Okay, so I'm looking at his formula. Right now, this is why I thought he divided it into thirds, because if he's put an eye line up here and he's got a line at the bottom of the sphere here like this. Okay, so what he's actually doing, which now makes sense to me, is he's not done it on the top half, so the eye line is very intuitive like that, but on the bottom half he's dividing the bottom half into halves. So again, you see this is when people think that some people write on my videos in the comment section who aren't training library members, so you know they're ignorant. They think I really exaggerate construction. Well, here we are breaking down and looking at a model sheet from a professional movie of the highest order, and you can see all this going on, right? But it becomes intuition, so that's why it doesn't seem like a big deal to people who actually work in the industry. Now I'm going to kind of round these eye lines off. Now what he's done is he's on the top, he's created a mini cylinder like this, right? And he's going to kind of come out here and out here. This is his way of dealing with giving the illusion of as if his character's got 3 dimensionals, all right? And then, so not everybody works with that diamond the way I work. That's my thing, okay? That zygomatic diamond. So this comes here like this. I would still, even if I was working on this film, I would, to be very honest with you, I would have the balls to just ignore this and do it with my zygomatic diamond. But you should only do that if you are confident about your skills. So then you would then come down here like this, okay? Which is leaving about this kind of portion. And then you'd bring this in. So you see he's creating his own version of that zygomatic diamond. Okay, this is his version, which I think it leaves too much to be desired, too many questions to be answered for me personally, right? So it's too vague anatomically. Okay, so you're going to get more inconsistencies working this way, in my opinion. Okay, So this thing is gonna come off down here like this, and we're gonna come on here and create an angle for the jaw like that. So that's his idea of how we're going to construct the character's head. So roughly my takeaway from that, as I've been working that around, is you got a mass shape, it's divided in half, okay? The ball kind of sits on the first, divide this in half, the ball will sit on there, okay? Then we want to think about encasing his head, okay, in something like this and just coming off the side like that. That's my immediate quick takeaway if I was trying to understand this guy's model. Okay. So then that's basically it. So he says that this is the cheek line, okay, and this is 1/4, 1/4. Okay, so yeah, so he hasn't really explained why it's 1/4, because what he really did do, which I thought he didn't. So I'm saying this is super vague, this sheet. I would be annoying him if I was working under him, saying, is that half or is that not half? It doesn't look like half to me. So he's claiming that this is 1/4 and 1/4 here like this. Okay, so that's just it. The thing is these model sheets are just a guide. Majority of the time, animators have their own way, and this is just more for cleanup, who are being very, very stringent if something is really off model. That's the only way I can think about it. So he has got this formula. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy here, all right? I'm going to knock that back. And now he's got a drawing of the character's face on top next to it. But I'm going to try and apply the character's face onto this model as best I can, so we can see how this works. So the eye line, okay, the eye is going to come off the side here, and it's kind of straight. And the eyes are kind of cool, okay, because we got a straight line here like this, right? And we got a straight, and we're one eye width apart, which is the usual thing. And we got a straight line here like this. And this actually is coming this way. And we're going to come up. This is really cool. He really does look like he's from China. It's really nice, really clever eye design. I absolutely love it. So this thing comes here like this. So then we got the center line of the head, which I can see here like this, which actually, he's gonna then put the nose. He's gonna bring the nose in, bringing that nasal bridge in. And I remember that they say on Asians in the art of Mulan that the nose dips more like that. Then coming to the edge of the spear here is going to be the nose, okay, which is actually going to extend to this width here, and he's got this line here that he's kind of done, doing all this, going along there like that. But I'll leave that out. I'll just interpret what I can from this model sheet, okay? And then we're going to bring that in here like this. Now again, he's talking about that T, okay? So remember, I always talk about the T of the face. So he's got another line that he's gone down here like this to explain about that. Again, so typical standard facial construction stuff. So the nose is going to come in there like that. Now at the bottom of the sphere, okay, we've got the guy's lip, okay, which is coming like this. Now I actually feel that my nose isn't long enough, or my sphere is too long. So again, I'm going to adjust my drawing to what I see rather than going by the construction. So we've got this upper lip here, and again, I'm trying to go by my construction of this loosely drawn sphere, but I think I may have made that sphere just a little too long, and then these division lines that I scribbled are not really accurate. So you get a feel. You can download the model sheet. He claims that that's the way it is. So this is again going to be in the width, and the smile line is just going to go a little bit beyond that. And we're going to be straight. So those of you who remember my head turnaround video in the advanced archive, it's the same deal. You see, you just coming straight off there for the jutting chin. Okay, and that means I'm going to have to rein in my chin proportion, and he has actually done it. Okay, so he has actually done it on the model sheet, and I'll show you what he's done. Right, so even he's kind of strayed from his formula, because I've kind of found this thing. Yeah, mine is too big, but even he has kind of, yeah, he's kind of cheated it off a little bit as well. Right, so this eyebrow will sit on top like this, okay, and then the other eyebrow is going to come again using, he doesn't talk about it. Again, I would personally instruct whoever was under me to make sure that it follows a brow anatomy of the brow. Or maybe he thinks, you know, that if you're working for this company, you should know that stuff, you know. So again, I don't care. I always like to give that information if I've got people working under me, but perhaps he just assumes, like, if you don't know that, I don't want you working for me, you know, maybe kind of thing. Okay, because he would have picked, I think he would have been, his animators would have been cast for this role. Right, so then we're going to come out here like this, and again, I'm not going to use this thing here because I think it's a little bit misleading. He's coming off like this, straight, and again in line with this. Okay, and I'm gonna end it here, and I'm gonna round it off here. Now, and then he's saying you want to curve around here like this. Okay, now his chin finishes about here from his construction. Okay, so even he has drawn and like put a curved line here like this to kind of make it seem like so. Again, yeah, I feel it's a combination of formula and intuition, this thing. So now along the side of the head, along fitting with that construction, but I may have to adjust my ear, we've got this portion of the character's hairstyle, okay, and then in line with his eye, okay, we have the ear, which comes out and goes a little bit above the eye, right, and then off to the bottom of the nose, as usual, is where the ear will end. Okay, so we're going to bring this round and down with these nice triangular wedge shapes. Then we're going to create the helix of the ear, and I can't quite see, he's got a lot of rough lines going on inside, so I can't see his design for the inner ear. I'm just going to make best and just think he's kind of put the concha there, and there's no tegus. I think he may have put the anti-helix in there, but this should be the anti-helix and this should be the concha. So he's got a huge area for the anti-helix, which is fine. Maybe this represents the greater and inferior crus of the ear. So you can always find it if you know anatomy. So he hasn't mentioned all these things, but I know why he's made the shape choices. Okay, it's all from knowledge of anatomy. So then again, the jaw is going to come around about where I put it here. Okay, I'm going to kind of shrink it and bring it in a bit because mine was just too big. So that's going to be like there, like that. So that's the facial feature. You know, he has got quite a chin on him, it has to be said, even when I reined it in. And yeah, he's kind of drawn these lines here like this. What I'm going to personally do, just for my own sanity, because I feel that it's still a little too big, is I'm going to rein that back. That looks nicer. Okay. So then we're going to curl up here. Okay. And in between the center line of the face, okay, I'm going to put the division of the character's hairline. Right. And that's going to go on the top of the sphere like this. And then we're going to come in and around like that for that to get that portion of the guy's hairstyle. And then we're going to come up, and where he created that three-dimensional aspect of the head, he's actually got a line going along the middle to find it, and he's going to bring this out and he's going to marry that in there like that and curve that off. there. So you can see that I'm drawing quite clean on my first attempt at drawing his face. So even though I'm kind of saying this formula is not the best formula from my point of view, it's still good enough for me as an animator with my experience to work it out and adjust and play, and I can see what he means. Okay, so I'm not saying his method is flawed or anything like that. I'm just saying that, like, in my first few goes of looking at this, in my interpretation, maybe some of the decisions I've made are off. Okay, I know that I rushed drawing the sphere, and I just because I'm trying to explain it to you as I go. So some of my choices are off, but I still think a lot of pulling this together is based on intuition. So this is, again, he hasn't talked about this, but I can see this marries up with his chin. Okay, so this is going to curl in and marry up to the chin like that. So that's the guy's head. Now the ribbon, okay, is going to come around here like this, and then the back of the ribbon is going to be a triangle moving in line, again probably on this first eye line to level up the upper eyes. Okay, it's going to be in line with that and there. Now he has talked about it like this. Okay, which is interesting. I would never have thought about it like this. He's going how the eyebrow and this thing match up. Okay, from this point it should just be a straight line going down like that. So every animator has their own way. Okay, but ultimately we all get there in the end, because it's all based on the formula of the facial anatomy and stuff like that. So now we're going to come off on the side, and we're going to divide this up here like this and create a triangle off there. To see the triangle, okay, the triangle is going to come here. So we got a negative triangle here, and this all kind of marries up like that, which he hasn't really talked about. Okay, and then in here we're going to just create the bond there like that. So that is the guy's head. The first kind of assertion of drawing this guy's head. So what I'm going to do, just out of interest, is I'm going to try it my way. Okay, I'm not saying, I'm going to now see, if I was working on this project, I would then say, okay, I get you. So just going to make up my own Li Shang head. Okay, so I will take what I can from him. Okay, I will take what I can of what I've remembered. Okay, of that, and then I will then kind of like try to think, okay, well, let's see how this goes, right? So I'm gonna have his eye, his eyes are gonna be at the top like this, and we're gonna kind of have one eye in the middle. So we've got this and this. Okay, then we've got the brow line, okay, which is gonna sit here. We've got the straights, and I would then think about what I call the diamond that I like to use. Okay, and then I would have his lip coming off on here like this, and his nose, which will be in line with that, coming here like this, right? So that would then come this way, and he curls that, doesn't he? And he keeps that in line with that. Okay, so my eye line's a little out. Okay, I would then, this would have to be a little higher. Okay, like this. Right, so you see how I try to consolidate the information that I gain. Okay, so he says to put a line up here. Okay, and this is going to curve into the middle of the head like this, and this is going to come off, right, and this is going to come out like this. So not quite, okay, but let's now try, okay, and see what we can do. So again, I'm going to be quite rough because I just want to speed. I'm doing this for my own indulgence. Okay, I'm not doing this for you or anyone. I'm doing this for myself, and you can see how I try to work out what I've learned from that model sheet. Okay, so I'm still kind of looking at the thing next to me. Okay, so this goes lower, and this comes out more like this, and this then comes in like that. So I feel I've screwed the eyes up. It doesn't matter. I'm going to keep going. So this is going to come out. All right. Let's put a smile on him just to change this up a bit. Right. Like that. What I'm going to do is I've screwed the eyes up by sticking. I'm going to level this eye. This Asian thing where he slants the eye down threw me off a bit. So I'm going to level the eye up there. Bring that in. That's better. Yeah. Ooh, not bad at all. Okay, so now this is going to circle around. I'm not going to care too much about the ear. Okay. That can be worried about later if I was indeed animating on this project. I'm going to straighten up here like this. I'm going to marry those two there like that. I'm going to bring this down. This should be parallel. Okay. Not really. No. Looking at it. No. Okay. Yeah, Disney avoid parallel. Sorry. And then this is going to come in like this. You see, you got to know the rules to break the rules. I like throwing some parallels in there, even though it's frowned upon, because I don't want my stuff to look 100% Disney ripoff when I do my own stuff. Right, so this goes here like this, and this comes off the back. Okay, and then we're going to have the bun. Okay, and then he says the ribbon, what was it? What do I remember he said about the ribbon? I don't remember. Was in line with this thing here. I've forgotten. Okay, but I just remember I'll do my own thing. Okay, right? So it's like that. Okay. Bingo. Right? Not quite, but good enough. Okay, good enough. So that's kind of like how it works. How I'm going to delete that because it's not part of what we're doing. How that kind of face works. Now he has mentioned other stuff in here. So the bun, I'm not going to go over it all. I feel we've kind of done enough. But the bun, he says you want to treat like three-dimensional shape. So we're coming off the hair like this, okay, and he's saying he wants you to kind of contour it in your mind like that, but then you'll put a curl there to unify it, right? And then on this side you'll have this. So although you'll be working round and the shape will be something like this, okay, he wants you to imagine the contours are like a block, right? And this is pasted on this side, and this thing kind of unifies it, right? So that's what he's talking about, the bun. Note the furrow is seen on the eyebrow closer to the viewer. Okay, so very quickly, it's like you don't see a furrow on this eyebrow. So he's got an eyebrow of the character here like this. Okay, so let's draw the eyebrow, right? And then he puts a little kind of furrow there, and he says on the whenever the eye closer to the viewer, that's where we see the furrow. Okay, so that's some takeaways of that. Sean Lee, I don't know, Shallow Bridge gives a more Asian type nose. Okay, so yeah, this is from the model sheet in the book, I remember actually. So I used to want to design my own Asian Bruce Lee character called Wandering Fist, so I used to worship this Mulan drawing and try to copy it, so hence Wandering Fist used to have a nose like this. And so he's talking about the higher bridge, so he's saying no, don't do a higher bridge of the nose, which is this. Okay, we want to have the eyebrow up here, we want to bring that in and put the indentation down here to make him look more Asian, okay, which is indeed what we have. So the indentation is down here on the bottom of his eye line. So that's what we have. top of the diagonal of the hexagon forms the hairline. Okay, well, yeah, so when he makes this hexagon on the guy's face, okay, which we kind of, he says this forms his hairline, okay, and you just got into that. Okay, so the more you're kind of learning about this model as you read along, so every time the character is gonna, whatever angle you see him at, you're gonna put this hexagon on him and you're gonna say, okay, that's where his hairline, you're just gonna cut into his hairline like that. Okay, so that's that note taken away. He's got upshot and downshot, but I want to start looking at people's work. Sideburn, rim continues to jawline. Okay, so he calls it the rim, the helix of the ear. Okay, they continue the helix of the ear. They leave out the tegus. Okay, they just continue the helix of the ear to the jawline. So his jawline would be here like this. Then they have the antetegus on there, and then they simply have a line in there like that. So I don't know what all that was about, what I could see on that other thing. He says the jawline, the top of the ear just continues around, very streamlined, and the hairline just, the sideburn, he says, just cuts in and should be actually of the diamond shape like that. So he says the hair bun should be at an angle. So even though this looks straight, it's not. So he's kind of got the profile and he's got the hair bun like this. Okay, and he says yes. He's got the top of the head hair and he's got a hair bun like this, and he says no. Okay, so these little things are important for when your character's in profile. The chin is pushed back behind the lips. Okay, so he has the character's head, okay, coming off the side. So this straight line here like this, okay, coming off the side profile view, right? And he's got the nose which comes off that, okay, and the lips are like this, okay, and the chin just sits behind. Okay, see how easy that is, right? So if, you know, he's not even kind of unifying it. The style is just to sit the chin behind the lips. Okay, so that's the way he's kind of like got this guy's from the side profile view, right? Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. You know, jaw and chin get lower. Okay, that's obvious stuff. Let's see the simplified mouth. Okay, so he says we don't do this. So he's gone and drawn a lips like this, and then, you know, he's gone and drawn another lip, and he's put the tongue inside, and he's put all the little kind of things in there, and he says no, no, no. Okay, so he now instead has a much nicer kind of shape like this, right? And then he'll have the circle, which is the way I draw, and the tooth and the tongue inside. It's just so much easier and cleaner and nicer. And then the lip will simply sit on the top of it, and then we'll have the other lip kind of angling out around it. Okay, so that's how he wants you to build your mouth. Okay, so less is more kind of thing, right? So that's what he says about the mouth. Okay, so yeah, I'm not going to do the up and down shot because that'll take another half hour to explain those, and we're an hour in, so we've completed our hour of character. So no Popeye. I don't think you mind if I leave Mr. out. I think we've had a really good stream today in learning about character model sheet, understanding how to read a character model sheet of the highest level on a multi-million-dollar Walt Disney movie, and I believe the budget for Mulan at the time was around 80 million, I think, or 60 million. I can't remember. I used to be obsessed with the movie. I saw it 50 times, around almost 50 times at the cinema, and kept the tickets until they faded, and then I was debating should I throw them away, and I said, well, The tickets have faded now, so nobody will know but me. So I was actually obsessed with this movie. I would watch it twice a day at the cinema, and I would skip university because I was doing my animation degree, and I would just go to the cinema instead and watch Mulan during the periods. And yeah, loved it. Mulan, Prince of Egypt came out the same year. Okay, so that was that. Lots of fun doing that.
So, A&B is the greatest archive anyone could ever ask for.
You know, of all the books I've read, of all the other online tutorials I've seen, this was the missing key.
Every video is like packed with this information that I would never be able to get anywhere else. So I would say this is the greatest resource for learning animation.
For me, A&B Animation Library is hands down the best animation learning resource that I've seen. I've tried all the tutorials, I've gotten all the books. I've never been able to really grow until I found A&B.
And it's incredible. I've only just begun it, but I definitely am getting more from that than I did from my 1.5 years of college.
I've noticed definitely that my animation has improved a lot, and it's more alive than ever. And what I also like about this animation training is that you also gain real confidence.
Real Animator Training Library is unequivocally the best resource for animation, 2D animation, traditional hand-drawn animation that I've seen.
So I wholeheartedly recommend the A&B Real Animator Training Library to anybody who wants actual knowledge and actual applicable concepts to create their own animation and to move forward in the field of animation and to set your work above those that are just kind of teaching themselves and not learning these tried and true classic concepts.
A&B is motivated by his students' successes and improvements. He's a great teacher, a great animator with over 20 years experience in the industry, so you can't really get much better than that. I strongly recommend him to anybody.
I'm thinking on how to put in words what I feel about it. I love that. It approached me from my dream of becoming an animator. Every cent I paid in there was worth it.
I like that the library is structured. I can go back and watch it anytime I want to, and he's just got so much knowledge. And I just highly recommend it to anyone who's out there looking to learn traditional 2D animation.
So thank you, MB, so much, and thank you so much for all you done for me.
So, are you gonna join the library?